Lana Zak is joining us from Nashville in the same location that we saw David at. You've been down there on the ground, Lana. You've been talking to members of the community. What are you hearing?
They're completely the range of emotions, anger, grief, people who felt like it was only a matter of time before this type of gun violence affected their community, and others who felt like it could never happen in this affluent neighborhood in Nashville. There was one thing, Anne Marie, as I was reading some of the local papers today in the Tennessean, they talk about Evelyn Dykehouse's older sister and how she was crying and saying to her pastor that she didn't want to be an only child. And it reminds you just the depths of grief that are affecting the children here. And with that in mind, I spoke with a 15-year-old who attends a nearby school. His name is Cayman Broom, and he's at one of the religious schools that's just right around the corner here. And he was under lockdown at his school, and he described that experience for me. When you got the news that your school was undergoing lockdown, that there was a school shooter at the school that's just a little bit away from here, explain for us how that felt.
It kind of sinks your soul a little bit, because it's like, did I just wake up for the last time? Am I living my last hours? I don't know what's going on around me, so please help me.
Wow.
I just need some type of action to be taken to, I mean, you can try to stop it, but at least mellow it down. Because...
What do you mean mellow it down?
Like, it seems like this is happening. Or it's like something different every month. Somebody else's school, some other person doing something for some reason.
There's
to
several,
kids, to children.
Every month, school shootings. There's about one school shooting a week in the U.S.
That's not okay at all. And to know that all that's gotten 3 miles away from me isn't very comforting at all.
It sinks your soul, he said, Anne Marie. And there have been about a half a dozen prayer vigils here in Nashville following the shooting. I attended one of them. And sinks your soul. The heaviness of that resonated with me as I saw in a group of hundreds of people crying in stunned disbelief. In the back of the pews, there was a group of about 3 kids laying on the ground there, coloring in their coloring books. And they're about the same age as the 3 lives that were lost here. And so sinks your soul, I thought, was one of the most accurate ways to describe how people are feeling here in Nashville and people who are listening to this news.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but out of the mouths of babes. Heavy was exactly the word that I was thinking as well. Like, what a weight for this young man to have to carry. And he wasn't even at this school. He didn't even go to this school. So it gives you an idea of the ripple effect that, a shooting like this has. So the police have a lot of work on their hands. What more might we learn from the police as they continue their investigation?
Still a really active investigation. People want to know about motive. I would caution all of our viewers not to jump to any conclusions. No official word about motive has been released, even as the detectives here have uncovered what they believe to be a manifesto, writings, and additional weapons. We also learned that the shooter's mother opposed or was a proponent of gun control, felt like it was necessary to protect schools. So there's still a lot of questions, and even when we do learn the motive, of course, Anne Marie, it won't make sense of what has happened here.
There's no way to explain any of this. As you know, whenever we have a school shooting like this, the debate about gun safety is reignited. President Biden called on Congress to pass an assault weapons ban yesterday. It starts to feel a little bit like rinse and repeat. I'm wondering what it feels like for the community there. What are they talking about?
Well, it's interesting, Anne Marie, because people might not know this if they're outside of Tennessee, but questions about gun control were already an active, ongoing debate here in the state, in part because there was legislation that's pending right now that was being debated just before this shooting about lowering the age of people who are able to concealed carry and open carry down from the age of 21 to 18. That had a lot of opposition, a lot of political proponents But you can only imagine that that debate now has taken on a different tone given this school shooting and how it has affected people here.
Completely. Lana, thank you so much.